It depends on the business, and more than anything else, depends on the goal. Because if you're talking to a coach consultant who does mainly one-on-one, anything more than 100 people in that group is enough, because
hmm
all they handle is like 20 people. Right? 12,000 people is a lot already. So that's fine.
hmm
But if they're doing group coaching, for example, again, 12,000 is fine or something like that, because they're looking at not 20 people, maybe hundreds of people.
hmm
The other one is the trap with dealing with numbers. And that sort of thing is everybody's thinking about scaling.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Rexhen, and today's guest is Dr. Kayvon, known as the Profit Finder, a business development coach, author, and speaker who helps fractional executives and consultants simplify their path to more productivity and profit. A former medical doctor who caught the entrepreneurial bug, Kayvon has since built multiple businesses, acted global clients like Nokia, and become a trusted coach to leaders looking to scale their impact without burning out. Through Simplify Profits, he guides entrepreneurs to spot blind spots, remove obstacles, and turn conversations into clients without funnels, gimmicks, or overwhelm. And it's a pleasure for me to have him on the podcast today. Welcome to the show, Dr. Kayvon.
Yes, thank you very much, Regen. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. And I wanted to go into the beginning of your story when it comes to you starting your coaching business, Simplify Profits. And it's not just coaching, but we're going to focus a bit on coaching today. It's been
Yes.
almost 6 years since you started Simplify Profits. First of all,
Yes.
what inspired you to take that step, become a coach, and start Simplify Profits?
Yes. Actually, I started coaching back in 2006, so it's almost 20 years now, 19 years. But the Simplify Profits is the latest iteration because of the focus that I gave to business coaching. Because like everything else, things grow, things change. You find better insights, and therefore the focus changes. So at the beginning, it was just business coaching. Then I thought, well, can't be just business coaching. It should be growth coaching. Well, what is that? Then that's not tangible. How about we call it marketing coaching, and then entrepreneurial coaching, and other names and focuses. That's how I got into learning more about productivity, learning more about profitability and performance, and that sort of thing. So through a conversation a few years ago, it was this whole idea of, we do all of these things. We do, so much branding and so much marketing and so much lead generation and revenue generation. But is the business set up right in a way that at the end of the day, something is left? Because revenue is something, but at the end of the day, we want to have profits, because that's what's left for us after we pay all of the taxes and the costs and this and that. The challenge is I have seen so many of my clients or entrepreneurs, and I have been there myself many times, that there is so much stress and pressure on being a solopreneur, whether it's coach or consultant or a fractional. We are everything in the business. If we are solo, maybe we have a few VAs here and there, but at the end of the day, there is so much on our shoulders. And we want to do the work of being a coach or a consultant. So basically, we are being asked to work in the business and on the business at the same time. And I believe that's too much to ask from anyone. So I was sick and tired of seeing that so much stress and pressure, and the impact of it, not only on the entrepreneur, him or herself, but also their families. And things go up and down, and financial pressures are going to be there. We know that so many of our, let's say, divorces happen because of the financial, not because of lack of love. So in conversations, and I'm a big proponent of clarity and boiling things down to their essence. It was this realization that generating more revenue feeds the business, generating more revenue feeds the ego, but generating more profits feeds your family. So that became the emotional mission behind the whole thing. And I thought business and profitability should be there when I started to look at it, I realized I don't come from a finance background or an MBA background. And things are not like, I don't understand things the same way that those people do. And there are so many other people like me that we don't come from that background. And somebody needs to simplify this for all of us.
Mhm.
I looked around, didn't find good resources. And as usual, when you see a problem and you don't find a solution, you might think, okay, I might be the person that needs to solve that now. So I started to looking at that, and simplify profits became the goal, the mission, the name of the business, the value that I'm trying to provide to the business. So it's not only the mission, but also the unique value proposition. And my strength, my superpower always has been to simplify things. Simplify is my main brand. My friends and, what is it? My clients, they refer to me as Kayvon, the simplifier. So simplifying things, which has the value of in it and profitability, they came together. The name Simplify Profit was given to this business a bunch of years ago.
Interesting. I like the story. And so, excuse me. So when working right now with your clients,
Yes.
and I want to dive a little bit into the ideal client profile. In this podcast, we have two audiences.
Yes.
They're coaches. And when you think about it, you just mentioned is coaches, they have their own businesses.
Yes.
They are working in their business and on their business at the same time. And in your
Yes.
case, especially for business coaches, you're working on your business and on other people's business in a way too.
Yes.
So and then the rest of the audience is the audiences of the coaches we've had on the show before. So we've borrowed some of their audience as well. Now, when thinking about the ideal client profile that you work with, how would you describe that? Is there a certain industry, certain demographic, psychographic?
Mhm.
We know we're talking about business owners. Can you
Yes.
specify a little bit more?
Yes. Well, I have tried, looked at this topic and this question a bunch of times. I have tried different methodologies. And let me put it this way, not only for this topic or this question, for everything else when it comes to business of coaching, I have made all the mistakes. So if there is a mistake, if there is a wrong way to do it, I have done it multiple times, which is kind of my unique proposition, a value proposition that I have made the mistake, so you don't have to. So when it comes to ideal market or many other things in the business, one of the main factors that I look at it is what kind of a work or what kind of a type of clients are the ones that I can keep doing. I am going to do over time. Because if something is not aligned with my nature or the way that I look at it, and I don't enjoy it and that sort of thing, I can push myself to do things for a short amount of time, but we know we get the real results and compound effect over time. So one of my factors in choosing that is, what is it that I can commit to for a long time? And that has to be something that I enjoy doing it, because if I'm not, or anybody else, we're going to quit. So that's one of the things. So yes, this is a hot market, or that's a good opportunity, or defining it like this and that. They are all come to the picture, but everything has to go from that first. So talking about that, similar to this conversation, in the past few years, I have noticed that I'm getting a lot of questions from solo coaches, solo consultants, and people who have their own business as far as, how do you do this part of it? How do you stand out? How do you follow up with people? How do you close the deal at the end? The things that I had to learn, and I was able to help them. And I noticed I'm enjoying this kind of a conversation. So that was one signal. And as far as, well, there are many different groups of them. Which group am I going to choose to focus on? It's not that I'm not going to help other people, but at the end of the day, I need to bring my attention and focus to a small group, maybe like one kind of an avatar. Also, as far as my marketing and branding, my messaging needs to be on point for, again, one group of people. So that narrowing down, that clarity, that simplifying to one thing. One is the most important number when we are a solopreneur, because we want to have one target market, one way of marketing, one platform, one offer, and keep doing that until that works. So let's say we stick with it for 1 year, that kind of an approach, as opposed to keep changing it from this offer to that offer, to this service, to that service, to that group. That is not going to work. So when I was going to choose my target market, somebody mentioned the fractional executives. So these are the people who have a background in corporations, and they have been, in the strategic positions and the C-level positions. They do have a good amount of work behind them. Now they're at the point in life and career that they like to diversify and work with multiple companies and have more of a freedom, more sovereignty over their own time and who do they work in the project that they choose. So unfortunately, when it comes to now running their own business, this is very foreign to them, even more than what we see with the coaches and consultants. And the level of support that is available to them is very sparse, because this is kind of a new thing. It's infancy. So I thought, yeah, those are the people that they really need this help. This is too far into them. And the amount of help and support that they get is not enough. And those are the people that I really enjoy talking to because of their professionalism and the background and where they come from, the kind of impact that they can have on their clients, to the clients. So back in June 10th, 2024, I selected that group as my target market. Now, it's one thing is about selecting the target market. The other one is really getting in there. So this is for everybody to listen. When you choose a target market, you want to understand the challenges, understand the problems, the nuances. I might say, yeah, lead generation is the biggest problem. But for every target market, there are nuances and there are differences, whether it's been mental, emotional, practical. However, you really want to get to know that. The best way to find that is from the market. And also through this research, you basically make connections and find your path. So what I did was I started to send messages on LinkedIn to people who had the fractional name in their title. And I was honest about it. The first line was, hey, this is not a sales message because I am just looking for answers. I'm looking for insights. You look like a person that I will be serving in the future. I want to understand the problem of people like you. Would you mind giving me some of your time for a chat? Because I want to learn the insights that you have, the challenges that you have from yourself. And Rexhen, I was very lucky because, a bunch of people said yes. I must have sent hundreds of messages. I ended up having, with 57 people, 80 meetings during 90 days or so, which was over 2,900 minutes of Zoom recording and over 216,000 lines of transcription. Well, thank God for AI to help me to go through all of that, find the patterns, find the nuances and the language that they say and the kind of a problem that they have, identifying the top 10 problem and eventually identifying the top 3 problem. And from those, choosing the one problem that I'm going to work on. So that has been the journey of thinking about choosing a target market, approaching the market, understanding the problem, and eventually connecting the problem you see to a solution you want to solve for them. Yes.
Cool. That is great. And so I like the approach. And actually, there was one other business coach that had that same approach that explained it to me, and was all about asking your market, like doing the market research. Interesting because it's a little bit like you think that people would actually accept to tell you what their problems are because there's no benefit for them, right? When you think about it, you're just asking someone, but there's not really a lot of benefit from them. But what happens is once you find kind of like what that problem is, the main problem, you make the product around that. You make the services around that. Now you could still reach out to these people that had that problem. Now they are now you kind of like had a group of leads too after the market.
Yes, exactly. You have a group of leads or through them you have connections. But I have to disagree with you on the part that there is no benefit for them. I think there are two main benefits for them. One is the smaller one is everybody wants to help. If we find a chance to help somebody else, we like to do it. That's in our human nature. So I was asking for their help. He said, I don't know this thing. You know it because of your background. You have the insights. Would you mind sharing it with me? They wanted to be helpful. And I'm very thankful for that. So I think that's a benefit. They feel good about themselves. They give to someone else and help, and they're curious that. The second thing is being a solopreneur is very lonely, and they do have problems. The fact that I was communicating that and I was ready to listen and ask more questions so they can actually talk about their problems, tell somebody else how it is. And I mentioned, framed it that I'm for a solution. So they came to that. So that somebody is willing and ready to listen to me because everybody wants to feel seen. Everybody wants to feel heard. And after that, they want to feel understood. And eventually they need to feel safe or to commit to something to buy all of that. But that's the emotional journey. First, they need to be seen and heard. Then they need to be understood and eventually feel safe. So I was giving them that first part. I was ready to hear and listen them towards the understanding. So I think there was big benefit.
Cool. I hadn't thought of it that way. The people like to help. People like it's kind of like in a way also kind of like ego. They want to feel like they're making an impact in someone else, and like
yes.
And the fact that you are asking them, it makes them feel valued too.
Yes.
So this is kind of like the approach, right? You go in, you do market research, you get a bunch of leads at the end of it too. Now, before doing this, would you say that you need to have an ICP or like an ideal client profile, or is that something that you just test? You test with this ideal client profile.
Yeah.
We don't know yet if it's ideal. We're just going to test the market research in this group of people.
It's like what you just said. We don't know this is going to be the final one, even because having an ICP is not until it's a yes or no, it's a black and white thing. There's a process of fine tuning it. So having an idea about who could be your ICP is a good place and enough place to start. Then through those conversations and market research and listening to the language and testing your language and market with market, your language and content with the market, you fine tune all of that. And by the end of it, you end up with, yes, this kind of a person at this stage, and this is what's happening, and that's what the problem they're challenging. This is their point of view. We would come to all of that. So yes, at the beginning, we should have an idea. We do the process. So by the end of it, we really fine tune the idea and get as precise of a picture as we can.
Do you think there is like a optimal length of time for doing all the research at the beginning?
I think it took 60 days to 90 days. And as I said, I had 80 meetings. So that's a lot of Zoom time, right?
Yeah.
So let's say that's too much for anybody else, but at least people can do at least 20% of that, right? They can have 20 meetings. And let's say, because I have seen so many coaches and consultants that they haven't even done that. They just go based on what think is right. Actually, so many start the other way around. They have a product they want to sell, then they go for, who is this for? As opposed to, who am I going to work for? What's their problem? Let's create a solution for that. So they start with the solution, not the problem. So I would recommend to anyone who is listening to this and is a coach or a consultant, they want to identify their target market, to at least do 20 interviews, 20 conversations with people they think they are in their target market. And I do have a method that I call it the 4-layer method. In fact, I have a 2-parter article on Forbes.com about this with the same title, the 4-layer method, that you want to narrow it down and eliminate 4 groups 4 times with the market that you're approaching. So many coaches and consultants that say, yeah, this thing that I do can help anyone or everyone. And sometimes you see that they narrow it down to certain age group, like people between 40 or 50 years old, or they say women, executives, or that sort of thing. So I like that. They're going to 1 or 2 level, but again, they still have a big group of people. So I have this absurd example that I wanted to be absurd a little bit. And number 2 is, far away from what I did. I said, imagine that I am a personal trainer and I want to sell my services to you. I can sell it in one of the 4 ways. So those are the 4 layers. If I just say, hey, I'm a personal trainer, you say, okay, good. You may be in the market, maybe you're not. You know, if you're looking for, we may have a conversation, but what are the chances that you remember that? Or when somebody else says, I'm looking for a personal trainer, say, I was talking to this guy, that sort of thing. So that's, Number 2 is, what if I said, I'm a personal trainer and that I only work with women? It seems that I just eliminated 50% of the people from my target market. I'm narrowing it down, but I'm saying no to so many other people. But because of that, we were talking about being remembered. Now it's easier because somebody says, a woman says, I'm looking for a personal trainer. You say, hey, I know a guy who focuses only working on women. We're 1 step closer. What if I said, I'm a personal trainer that I only work with women who like to lose extra weight. So it's not about building muscle or being toned or that sort of thing. It's just for losing extra fat. So that's even closer. But what if I said, I'm a personal trainer that I only work with women who want to lose the extra fat that they gained through pregnancy. They just had a baby, or they're about to have a baby, and that worked for them. Now think about how easy that person is to remember. Next time you see someone who, is pregnant or expecting, or 2 people talking about, hey, during pregnancy, I got some extra weight. I want to get back into shape. You say, hey, I know a guy, and he's exactly for you, and is specifically made for your situation.
Yeah.
So it seems like a very small portion of the market, just women in that age who that just happened, just had a baby. But what I'm asking is, well, how many of them out there? Because you can have 20 clients, maybe. There are hundreds of them out there. So even with that 4 layers of narrowing it down, we still have so many people in that narrowed down 4-layer market that you can be book solid. Now, on the other end of it, for the coach for the trainer to be able to provide good service, they need to be educated in their market. So imagine if I'm working with everyone, I have to know male physiology, female physiology, old people, young people, people that want to build muscle, people who have different goals, they want to lose fat, they just want to be active. I have to learn so many things about so many situations. I can never be good at any of them. I may be mediocre in all of them if I do, but if I'm only working with a small group of people, I can go much deeper with less effort, with less studying and research and that sort of thing. So with less effort, I am a higher expert because I am just only work with these people. All I need is that, how their body reacts in those kind of situations. Now, what happens to the client? When I sell myself like that to them, they have one of the few choices. Can not sign up and go do nothing. Doing nothing is always an option. Another one is they can go buy some program to try to follow the program, or join a gym, or hire another personal trainer. But here's the thing. None of them were as specific as I was to their situation. So the whole time they're using the other options, they're thinking, you know what? There was this thing that was specifically for me. I didn't go for that. This thing that I have is the second best, as second best. It's not exactly for me. So that belief changes the results that they get because they think they are not having the best things available to them. So if you want to serve them better, we need to be very specific about who we want to serve because their belief is going to change. Now, the other thing that happens on the business side, on the profitability side, you and I could be personal trainers. We're talking to the same people. You could be even better than me, but I get to charge more because I said it different. Because my business is specific to a group of people, and for this group of people, then they say that this is exactly right for me, and therefore it's worth the extra money that I pay to somebody who is generalist. I want to go with this specialist. So I like that whole process of narrowing down with the ICP, being brutal with cutting so many other groups. And even with the smaller group that we end up, there are so many people in that group that we will still be book solid and is much easier to serve them better, to be the authority. All of these helps them, which is the goal that I have for my clients. I tell them there are 3 stages and we have 3 goals. We want you to be unignorable. We want you to be memorable. And we want you to be referable. Now, I want you to think about everything that I said in this story. Is that unignorable? Yes, no. Is that memorable?
Yes.
And is that referable?
Absolutely.
So like that. I'm sorry, that was a long answer to your short question.
No. I love the answer. And so when you think about the market size,
yes,
do you feel like, because you can keep cutting, but until when you feel you have a good market size, is there a certain number of the market that you feel like there's only 12,000 people on Canada or in United States? Let's say I'm just doing Canada. There's 12,000 people in Canada that I could reach out in total. Now, I don't have all the market. Like I might have a very small share of that market, but there's only 12,000. Is there a certain number that you feel like
no, well, first of all, it depends on the business, and more than anything else, depends on the goal. Because if you're talking to a coach consultant who does mainly one-on-one, anything more than 100 people in that group is enough. Because all they handle is like 20 people. But 12,000 people is a lot already. So that's fine. But if they are doing group coaching, for example, again, 12,000 is fine or something like that, because they're looking at not 20 people, maybe hundreds of people. The other one is the trap with dealing with numbers and that sort of thing is everybody's thinking about scaling. What are we scaling? The thing that we haven't made it work yet? Right? So let's make it successful first, then we scale it. So I love everything in 3 steps and 3 approaches. I think for a coaching business, for a consulting business, for any business, first we have to make it work. Then we make it work better. Then we make it work faster, easier, cheaper, and all of that. So first we just have to get some clients and make it work and get something going. Then we make it work better as a more specific, more helpful, more quality, more value. And when we have something that is really working and people are happy and they're, then this is one of the factors that you have done your job as far as making something better. They are going to bring their friends and other people and recommend them to you. Hey, the success that I got, you want to get, you need to talk to so-and-so. And only then we should work on making it faster, easier, cheaper, better. Because here's the thing, until it's really working well, we don't have something that shouldn't be, because it's like the difference between effectiveness and efficiency. We sometimes talk about them as if they are synonymous. They mean the same thing, but they're not. Effectiveness means doing the right things. So making it work better, doing the right things. Then efficiency is doing with cheaper, faster, easier, better, bigger approach, that kind of a thing. But so many people are trapped in the in of scaling and efficiency and bigger numbers and reaching out to so many people. My question is, if we are not sure that we are doing the right things, if we are not being effective, if we haven't done make it work better, we may get really, really efficient doing the wrong thing really fast and really cheap. Well, who wants to scale the wrong thing? We shouldn't. So I think effectiveness first, efficiency later. So as far as choosing an ICP, one group of people with what kind of a problem, one kind of a problem, with one solution in one market, with one offer, let's make that work first and really nail it down to make it every time or most of the time, make it work better. After that, we're going to worry about, is this market big or small or that sort of thing? Because when you solve that problem for that market, either you can approach the bigger numbers with better marketing and lead generation and the authority that you have built, or that's a very similar problem for another group of people. Then you can scale it like that. But I think we need to, here's the thing, we should be here's my advice. Dear listener, dream big, think small, act even smaller. I'm going to say it again. Dream big, think small, act even smaller. So there we go. I should have said that first at the beginning.
You're getting me thinking again. That makes sense. Like, make it work first with a small group. You can always expand the ICP later, and work on that later. You can optimize later until after you've made it work. The only concern is, like, when you think about if your size has gone down to only, let's say, 300 people, and you have 300, and you're thinking about doing, like, maybe you're reaching out to them via email or you're reaching out to them via LinkedIn. You're worried about that 300 is going to be cut down to only 10% of them actually engaging with you and only 1% of them actually agreeing to work with you. So it's like 300 becomes so much smaller, and that's the only worry, like, to make it.
That fear is that what you just said, it really in the reality doesn't exist. Okay, there is no market for the average listener of this podcast that is only 300 people. It's much bigger than that. That's one. The other one, if it's true, if it's only 300 people, it means you're very, very specialized about and talking about a very specific problem that only 300 people have it. Well, in that case, then your rate is going to be very high, right?
And you're
so
enough
again,
with that.
even if you get around 3 of those clients, that's probably enough. Because the work you do and the problem that you solve, it's going to be so specific, and your rate is going to be so high. If you're dealing with that small number of people, then it's still, we don't have that problem. But beside all of that, these thoughts, these feelings that we have are all of our fears and imposter syndrome and other things that come on our way. I found one day I realized what I do, what is business coaching, whether I'm working with other coaches or businesses. That's what I do. What I really do, I help people get out of their own way. So these questions they come, they're not real. They are our resistance.
Limited
they want to
beliefs,
get on.
right?
It's not that small, it's bigger. And here's one easy way to recognize them and choose to listen to them. They usually start with something like, yes, but.
Yeah.
If something starts with yes, but, probably right there you can catch it. Okay, not that. Don't listen to it. It's not real. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that was what I did, right? I said, yes, but we have 300.
Yeah. That's fine.
It was all hypothetical. So I totally agree that there's no 300 unless it's like, I only want to reach out to billionaires and I can only solve a billionaire problem. And in that case, I can charge billionaires.
There you go. If you charge billionaire problems, then you charge in millions.
Yeah.
So we still don't have a problem. In fact, you don't want that many clients. You want only a few clients.
Yeah, even if it's one, it's fine.
Yes.
So,
well,
cool.
Here's the thing. Hypothetical, if somebody is solving billionaire problems, and it's $1 million problem solving situation, and if there are 300 billionaires, he still wants to break that down. Okay, from this 300, who are the top 10 that I want to approach? So 300 is too big of a number.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate it. So I wanted to ask you, when it comes to investments that you've done in your coaching business, what have been some good investments and maybe what have been some bad investments too, if there's any?
Yes, I have spent investments that I have done in my business. Give me a second, please. Yes. I have spent somewhere in 3 digits on my education in the past 20, 25 years. on different things that I could have learned in business, either in one-on-one coaching, group coaching, masterminds, books and courses. You name it, I probably have touched it or more about it. But I'm also at the same time, I'm a person who really likes to learn. I remember at some period at the beginning of the process, I was reading about 50 business books a year at the time. So audiobook, one after another, and getting that's where, my strength, getting a complex set of information and huge amount of information and find the patterns and simplifying it into 1, 2, 3 steps for my clients. But at the end of the day, the ones that maybe the good decision for me is they did from something like fear and what if I may need this one day, or this is kind of relevant to me, all of those that they were just in case decision making, as opposed to just in time. The thing that I really need right now, for example, I wanted to get better at positioning or storytelling or just sales, just because that's the thing that I needed. In the process of getting clients, there are 3 steps: attention, connection, conversion. Their attention has to do with my marketing and branding. Building a connection is about relationships and listening and storytelling and story selling and that sort of thing. And eventually closing and sales is another set of skills. So for example, for closing sales, beside the coaching that I do, I also offer my services to small businesses or startups as a closer. They have done their relationship building, they have done their lead generation, they qualified the leads, and there is that final consultative selling that needs to be done. So not the initial parts, just the final part. So I have had clients that I just did for that. I was the one who got on the call and sold the clients. I did that because I wanted to get good at sales, right? So yes, it's a service, there's money, but I didn't do it at the beginning to have a job. I did it because I wanted to get good at sales. That was a just-in-time thing. So when I sell my own services, I have control over the conversation. I know what I'm doing, kind of a thing. So as far as investment, I would say let's go for the ones that they're just in time, and what you need right now is as opposed to just in case. When I get there, I need that, so I better learn it now, that kind of a thing. Yes.
Interesting. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And also, when thinking about your coaching business right now, do you have any specific business goals that you're working towards? I mean, seems like an obvious question.
Well, yes. As I said, I have been 20 years. So there is and I started with all of this, the thing that you want to do for a long time. The nature of the work that I have been doing, which is one-on-one coaching and working with smaller groups of people, so much of it is, I can see, I don't want to do that for much longer, right? I'm at the end of that. On the other hand, because of the work and the things that I have learned, I see value in me organizing information into practical and useful ways. And also talking about the most things, and as opposed to like you have strategies, which one first, kind of a thing. So I'm going to, within a year or two, to switch into a lot of content creation. So when I say content creation, I'm not talking about, let's say, content marketing and that sort of thing. I'm talking about, let's say, the way that I have seen some people do it, it's a group, it's a paid membership kind of a thing for access to some sort of a approach or report or resources and that sort of things. The things that I have learned and put together, put in a practical kind of a way that is right for the right kind of group of people. And it's mostly for me is in a form of offline. So after 20 years or so, I'm looking for more freedom of my time as opposed to one-on-one or on live or situation. So more asynchronous and more offline is the direction that I'm going.
So you're going away from one-to-one coaching in a way.
Yes.
Cool.
Or one-on-one coaching with the ICP that I used to do it with. On the higher level with other of it. For example, one of the things that I really enjoy doing is the branding and messaging. So think of it like a chief messaging officer. That's a one-on-one, but it's you and a business or with the founder. And it's a higher level. It's not a coaching. It's a less consulting kind of thing. So I might keep all of that. A higher cost, higher price kind of a thing, a higher value. It's more engagement. So I'm looking for more engagement, more commitment as opposed to the average of the way of that I have been doing it so far.
And where do you see the challenge with that right now?
For myself or for the market?
For business.
Well, the challenge is, like everything else, it's a new thing. So there are things that I have to learn about it, which I am following some people and getting their content and their messaging and their coaching to help me with that, because those are the people who are a few steps ahead of me. I am a big believer. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody needs a coach, right? So one is I am new to this And number two is like everything else that's great. It takes some time to be built. So there's time and effort that needs to be, there's the effort that needs to put through time and doing it the right way. And I'm very thankful for people who have done it already, because the same thing that is true for my clients is now I am the beneficiary of that. They have made all the mistakes, so I don't have to. Yes.
Interesting. So you're taking kind of like your own medicine in a way.
Well, yeah. If you believe in something, it goes both ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is going to be, it's not even group coaching at this point, is all offline, you said, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking like a membership information, membership content, paid membership kind of a thing. So
would it be like a
yes,
course at that point, or?
It could be. Yeah, I was thinking about that, and that was the question that I had to. There might be specific courses on, let's call them mini courses on a specific topic, but not a course for the whole thing. But it's going to be ongoing content. So it's like a membership to, that's why I call it membership. It's like when you go the old model, membership to a magazine or newspaper. It's not one thing, but it's ongoing content, which is relevant and up to date and that sort of thing. So it's going to be like that as far as ongoing educational or practical kind of thing. Yeah, if there are things like this whole ICP that we talked about, that could be a mini course. The process that we talked about, do this, call people, ask them this, finalize that. That could be a mini course. So there would be little modules like that, but general membership is for what's going on, what's working right now, what's winning, and what's happening. And let's get that to the process. And because it's an intimate, very relevant conversation, it's going to be for a certain group of people. That's why they're members. So it's not generic advice. Or to approach. It's specific, which is what I like to do. And if there is going to be a live element to it, is at the end of the day, we're talking about knowledge and information, and there is no shortage of that. I am going to gather and simplify and clarify and that sort of thing. Yes, I'll add to that. But it's not about the knowledge. It's about implementation. Even the best, tools and strategies without implementation are worthless. And that's where people need the most help. The ICP process is, again, as an example, I can give them the information. This is how you do it. But at the end of the day, they need to look at it. The Alex needs to look at it so they can say, did I do it right? What am I missing? What's kind of it? So that kind of implementation support is the main reason that I think this membership, this mastermind should exist, and what I want to create it, because doing it alone by yourself is hard. You need brainstorming, you need bouncing ideas, you need help, support, accountability, and also what's the best way to do it? Did I do it right? What can I do with this obstacle or that obstacle? That is what I'm thinking to be the future for me.
And you'd part of the implementation, or you'd recommend someone that could help with implementation?
No, I wouldn't be doing, except something that I would enjoy, like that messaging thing that I like to do, which is, something that I am good at and I enjoy it. But the rest of it, no, I like to avoid touching it. I like to be, let's call it implementation manager, implementation guide, maybe, kind of a thing. Just tell them yes or no, right way, wrong way, right direction, wrong direction. Because people who are going to be part of that, that they can implement. It's a matter of right implementation.
Okay, interesting. So if I understood it correctly, would this mean that this is a low ticket offering in a way?
No, it's a high ticket offering.
It's a high ticket offering. Okay. Because I'm used to thinking, and this is the limiting belief again, that the high ticket offering should involve someone's time too. But it doesn't necessarily mean like someone's time, real time.
Well, the most valuable thing is a strategy.
Yeah.
Right? And the strategy is good when it's implemented. Here's the thing, a mediocre strategy implemented is a good strategy. The best strategy not implemented is a bad strategy.
Yeah.
Right? So that whole idea of let's first make it work. Let's work on the right things. Then we make it work better. How can we make it work better? How can we make it work faster? Answering these, what is it, how we do this, how we do that, is the service. Now, how to get it done, I'm sure there are people who are specialized in any of those, right? So the implementation is very important, but is not the challenge that they don't have access. Is doing the right thing is the main challenge. So that's the service. Therefore, it's higher value.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kayvon. Thank you so much for coming to our podcast today. For anyone who wants to connect with you or find you, they can go into LinkedIn, look up Dr. Kayvon, Profit Finder. They'll be able to find your profile. I believe, is there also the website?
The website is simplifyprofits.com.
simplifyprofits.com. We'll put that into the description as well for people to find it. But I appreciate our time today. Thank you so much for coming, Dr. Kayvon.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this conversation.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.